WHIP, Philadelphia's #1 college radio station. You're listening to Rational Radio, and today's edition of Rational Radio is Beyond the Lead. We have Sephora Hacker in the studio today from Temple News. She wrote a little article that just got released today. Sephora, can you tell us about your article?
Sure. My article is about a transgender woman named Donna Mae Stemmer who passed away in June at 82, and she was basically a legend in the gay community. And a bunch of her stuff is now at Philly AIDS Thrift, and it's like a pretty big deal for them to have all her stuff there because she's awesome.
So what sort of like significance did she have towards the community?
Well, Donna Mae, she was most known for her style, and she wouldn't leave the house without like a crazy outfit on, and she always looked amazing. So people always turned to her to talk to about transitioning if they were becoming trans, and she was just very kind and open, and she went to every gay event, a huge supporter.
Okay, so what kind of extravagant clothing do you mean? Like,
well, one example that I saw when I went to Philly Thrift was her cheerleading outfit, and she cheerleaded for a softball team called the Philadelphia Wolves, I think, and her outfit was like extremely bedazzled. She did it all by hand, and compared to other cheerleading outfits, obviously it's crazier. Other than that, she would go out in like really short skirts, high heels, fancy jewelry, stuff like that.
Okay. So how did people start noticing her?
Everyone I interviewed said that they just saw her at an event and they said, "Who is that woman?" And eventually everyone just started saying, "Oh, it's Donna Mae." So I don't think there was a particular time where she just came out and everyone said, "Oh, who's this woman?" She just started popping up, and people noticed her style and noticed her coming to every event and thought she was important.
So Donna Mae was a transgendered woman, right?
Right. Her previous name was Donald, and before she transitioned, she actually was in the Korean War. She was a veteran for 30 years, I think, and transitioned.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow,
cool.
that's really cool. It's great that people are now like coming out with that,
Mm-hmm.
that they're being more comfortable with it.
For sure.
And I find that very like inspiring,
Mm-hmm.
that she's able to go out there and just be herself.
Yeah. A lot of the people I interviewed just said, like, I said, "How did she influence you?" And they said, "She just made me want to be who I am." So that's a pretty big deal.
That's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. Now, what kind of influence did she have on you? Like, why was she interesting to you?
As I went on, I found myself saying to each person, like, "Wow, I wish I knew her," because she just seemed like the warmest person. And it doesn't matter if you're gay or straight or trans, like, she would, I think if she talked to you, she would inspire you in some way, and that made me really want to meet her, but I can't.
Well, yeah, now sadly, she has passed away.
Right.
But yeah, so what was her big impact on, like, fashion? Like, a lot of your thing was on, like, fashion. What was her big impact? Like, what did people see her as exactly?
People just saw her as, like, a creative, stylish woman. Like, she would go to, there's this thing called Gay Bingo that a bunch of people in the gay community would go to, and everyone would dress up. And everyone I interviewed said Donna Mae would come, and she would be the best dressed every single time, no matter what. I think she just inspired people to wear whatever you want. And she would make a lot of things by herself, so she was really dedicated to her fashion.
That's really impressive. That's really something crazy. I'm now in a class, Gender in America, and we talk about this all the time, the significance that, women dressing like men have, or men dressing like women have, and I've seen pictures of her, and I think that she would just be able to pass as a woman, like, completely.
Yeah, she pulled it off well.
She really did.
And even if she didn't, like, it wouldn't matter because she was so confident with herself.
And confidence is key for the most part.
Yeah, of course.
That's something I really respect. If you can go out there and you can be yourself and you wear whatever you want, and still, make an impact on the community in a positive way.
Right.
Mind-blowing.
Yeah.
Mind-blowing. So, what was the general overall feeling of, like, the community towards Stemmer? Did everybody enjoy her around, or was there some people that you find that...
Right off the bat, no one disliked her.
Really?
Right. I think everyone I interviewed said they loved her, and her best friend, Jackie Kane, I think, she said she didn't know a single person who didn't like Donna. And someone who had such a warm personality, like, I don't know why anyone would dislike her. She was just very friendly and happy.
And you said you'd never met her before.
No, I'm talking like I know her.
Yeah.
But it feels like I do. When I told my friends about Donna Mae, I go by her short name. Like,
Right.
I call her Donna Mae because I love her. She's awesome, but I didn't meet her. Just talking to people about her made her feel like my own friend.
Okay. And how did you learn about Donna Mae?
I had no idea who she was, and my editor pitched the idea of writing it to me, and it sounded really interesting, so I just picked it up and looked her up on the internet.
Really? Really? And what kind of stuff did you find on the internet? Like, was there already stuff about her?
Yeah, I think there were 1 or 2 articles about her, and I read those, and it's kind of similar to what I've been saying, so I tried to make mine pretty different from those. But from those articles, I just got the general sense that she was a fashion icon and everyone liked her.
And
pretty similar.
Are you a big fashion person, or was this topic of Donna Mae just like kind of interesting?
I'm not huge on fashion. I think it's great, but it's more what made me more interested was just someone who was that confident with herself and who had a big influence on people without doing anything that huge. You know what I mean? Just made an impact just being herself. That's what I liked the most.
Okay.
The clothes were just a really cool part
Really?
on top.
Now, you said that she was really big for talking to people about, coming out, right?
Yeah, that's what some of her friends said, that she just made people feel super comfortable. So if people were early in transitioning, they would feel very at ease talking with Donna Mae.
Now, do you have any stories, like examples of now? No, that's completely fine. That's completely fine.
I looked, I promise.
Yeah, okay. No, that's completely fine. So who are the close people to her that you actually got to talk to?
The most interesting person I would say is Michael Byrne. He is a cross-dresser for Gay Bingo, and his drag name is Carlotta Tendant. And he said that he would often go to Donna's house to borrow outfits. And, I got a lot of great information from him. He said that he went to her house and there was just, closets full of just earrings, stuff like that. She had so much stuff. And he talked about, since he performs at Gay Bingo, he talked about how Donna Mae would be in the audience and would look better than anyone on stage.
Wow. Where did she get her stuff? Was there a certain place that people usually saw her going, or?
No one really knows. I think that...
Really?
Yeah, maybe she made it secretive. I feel like she thrifted a lot and then took what she had and make it better with bedazzling and stuff like that.
So the mystery of Donna Mae Summers' outfit is still out there.
Right.
And so where is her stuff now?
So all of her clothes and photos, which I'll talk about in a second,
okay,
are at Affiliates Thrift, but a lot of it is already sold.
Wow.
Because it's Donna Mae, everyone wants it, and she just had great style, so people obviously took what they could get. The photos, every time she left the house, she would take a picture of her outfit, and when I went to Affiliates Thrift, there was a box of hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of pictures, and we went through almost all of them because they were amazing, and those are also up at Affiliates Thrift, but not for sale, just to remember her by.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So what were some of the clothes that got donated?
So from what I saw that were still there, the cheerleading outfit,
okay,
it might not be for sale, maybe that's why it's still there, because it's a significant piece, but there was a neon teal dress that I saw of Donna's, and a mini skirt maybe. A lot of it is already gone, so I'm not sure.
Wow, she was that big of a name in the community.
Yeah.
That's really inspiring.
Mm-hmm.
So did she actually use the cheerleading outfit? What was?
Yeah.
She was actually a cheerleader.
Yeah. So she found the softball team through Jacqueline Kane, one of her best friends, and she just decided to become a cheerleader for them, and yeah, she just wore that and cheered and was super enthusiastic at the games.
Just a softball team.
Yeah.
She
just kind of that's what she did. She just made things that were simple into big events, and she was really happy about everything.
Oh, wow. So she would just show up to these softball games in a nice cheerleading outfit.
The team knew her.
The team knew her.
Right. She asked them if she could cheerlead for them, and they said sure.
That's awesome.
And she just became a big part of the team.
Oh, wow.
And everyone in the league knew who she was.
And that's the one thing. Softball, you don't usually get cheerleaders either.
Right.
That's an outside of the box idea.
Yeah. She was like that. Just outside of the box. I'm talking like I know her again, but it's fine.
No, absolutely. No, I feel like when you do something like that, you get to know the person to the point where like you can be like, I'm her friend.
I feel like I am.
Yeah.
And I think we'd get along well.
I think sounds like you guys would if you're really that interested. Wow. So one of the things we like to ask, since this is called Beyond the Lead, is there anything, interesting that didn't get put in the article? Maybe didn't actually like fit in exactly, but you just found so interesting that it's like stuck in your brain?
I don't know if you can use this, so I'm just going to say it. And then if not, one of the things that I found interesting, but not really, it didn't make me feel happy, just made me feel really upset kind of, was her family didn't know that she was transgender.
Okay.
When she visited her family, she would become Donald again. And I thought that was kind of sad because she was such a huge influence on the community. She still had to hide who she was when she went home.
Wow.
And another thing that's also sad, she wanted to be buried in the veteran cemetery, but they wouldn't put her in with the name Donna. So what ended up happening was she was buried in Arlington, where she was born, but she was still named Donald on the gravestone, so it didn't even make sense. She was moved to Arlington, but couldn't even keep Donna as the name. So that was pretty sad. But I didn't include that because it's sad.
That is sad, but that's one of the things that it almost needs. I think it almost needs to be out there. It needs to be addressed. One of those things.
It's important.
And it's sad that she was able to, be herself. Where is she from originally?
Arlington, Jersey.
Arlington, New Jersey.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. It's kind of sad that she was able to be, herself here in Philadelphia, but when she went home, she felt, ashamed? Or maybe, her parents made her?
Right. I guess, we can't speak for others, but when you're in that situation, maybe you're not comfortable with your family knowing, or they might judge you. So, yeah, it was sad she couldn't be herself.
Yeah. When did she pass away?
This past June at 82.
82.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. So how long has she been living in Philadelphia?
Oh, jeez. I want to say around 60 years.
Okay.
I think she got her. She went to University of Pennsylvania, and then she got her law degree from Temple. So she kind of was in Philly during her school years, and then just started living right after that.
And then what was her career?
She was a lawyer. Mm-hmm.
Well, thank you for coming in today. I really appreciate you talking to us about your wonderful article. If you guys want to check out our article, it is on temple-news.com under Support a Hacker. So go to temple-news.com. Check it out. There's a lot of other great stuff on there. We're about to take our first break of the afternoon. Stay tuned, though, because we have Scott Bonal from the Temple News also coming in to talk to us about his article on a 54-year-old student at Temple University and also very active in the community. We'll be right back.
Chris, can you put the video game controller down for a second?
I can talk and play. Oh, I'm totally annihilating this punk kid in Nebraska.
I just feel like you're not acting like a grown-up in our relationship.
Am too.
Well, you still ride your skateboard to work, there's the comic book collection, the race car bed.
Look, I'm young at heart, but I put money into my 401k every paycheck. I picked up a few savings tips at feedthepig.org. I have control over my financial life now, and that feels pretty grown up.
Put away a few bucks, feel like $1 million bucks. Putting some money from every paycheck into a savings account or contributing to your 401k can make a big difference later. For free ideas and easy tips on ways to save, go to feedthepig.org. That's feedthepig.org.
So, I bet I look like a grown-up to you now.
Well, except for the footy pajamas, I'd have to agree.
This message brought to you by the American Institute of Certified Public Accountants and the Ad Council.
What is that?
Oh, it's my time machine.
Does it work?
Sure, just hit this button.
Whoa, dinosaurs. Cool.
Or we can go here.
Hey, that's Napoleon.
Oui.
Or we can go to the future.
Wow, hey, you have this nice house. Do I have a nice house?
No, you didn't save any money, always spent it on vacations and stuff.
If only there was a way I could go back in time and correct that bad habit.
Yep.
Okay, the time machine is not real, but the saving thing is. Get in the habit of putting some of your money in savings each week through a 401k, savings account, or financial investments. Put away a few bucks, feel like $1 million. For free ideas and easy tips on saving, go to feedthepig.org. That's feedthepig.org.
What does this crazy little button do?
This message brought to you by the American Institute of Certified Public Accountants and the Ad Council.
If you like listening to WHIP radio, we want you to know that there is a 24/7 cable TV channel bringing you great student-produced shows that are truly Temple-made. TUTV, Temple University Television, is Temple's video showcase for news, sports, documentaries, comedy, music, talk shows, feature films, and so much more. You can watch TUTV in the city of Philadelphia on Comcast 50 or Verizon 45, or go to templetv.net and click on Watch Live. Follow TUTV on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. TUTV, Temple University Television, great television that's student-made and Temple-made.
And welcome back to WHIP, Philadelphia's #1 college radio station. You are listening to Beyond the Lead. I'm your host, Nate Weaver, sitting here with Steve Bonell from the Temple News, who wrote an article this week that kind of hits really home to Temple. It's a big, the article that you wrote was more about like community, right? Why don't you tell us a little bit about it?
Yeah, sure. So basically, my article is a little bit of a hybrid between a profile between Glenda Bryan and what she thinks about, the proposed on-campus stadium, which has been dominating headlines lately. She's 54, and she's a student here. She's a senior social work major, as the article says, and she's just been very outspoken about the stadium. I mean, we saw her pop in the headlines initially more than 2 weeks ago at that TSG forum where students were invited.
Okay.
So she kind of was the community member who stood up, talked face-to-face with President Theobald, spoke her mind, and this was just kind of following up on that, seeing a little bit of what she's done in her more than 5 decades on this earth, and also just why she opposes the stadium, what her views kind of stand there. So that's basically what the article touches on.
So why does she oppose the stadium?
She just thinks that there hasn't been a lot of communication between the university and community, understandably. In the community's mind. She basically said that, if you're going, the main thing that happened you have to keep track with me, but the Board of Trustees meeting that happened a week ago is they approved a proposal to kind of study what this would look like, not confirming anything, but proposing a plan to, draw up the actual stadium, look into how parking will work, look into the logistics, do an environmental study. But she said that, why are they coming to the community now when you could have done that earlier in the process? That's kind of what her main argument was. And she just related Temple to kind of you appear like a bully is what she said. Mm-hmm. So that's kind of where she stood on this whole process up to this point.
Now talk a little bit about Glenda and her, Glenda, right?
Glenda, yeah.
Yeah, and her significance in the community. Like, why is she the face?
Number one, she thinks, I couldn't confirm myself, but she thinks she was the only community member at that TSG forum.
Okay.
So she said, hey, I don't want, the article leads, I don't want this to be about me. There are people, she was at the Church of the Advocate when I talked to her, and there was a Stadium Stompers meeting. Stadium Stompers is the group that's been opposing the stadium. And she said, there are people here that would have just spoken just as loudly, would have been just in his face. I don't want it to be about me. So that kind of stuck out. She's lived in North Philadelphia for most of her life. This didn't make it in the article, but the only time she didn't live in Philadelphia was 3rd to 9th grade. She was in White Plains, New York. That's where she went to middle school. But she's gone to 3 public schools. 2 of them are now closed. Again, stuff that didn't even make it in the article, but that was really interesting. And she's a licensed minister. She is a minister in West Philadelphia, and then she teaches a ministry class in Southwest Philadelphia. So she's involved. It's not like she's doing nothing. She's busy. Actually, after the interview, she was going to a conference call for that class because they were like restructuring the curriculum down in Southwest Philadelphia where she teaches. So she has a lot on her plate, so to speak.
Yeah. So what with the Stadium Stompers, what are their main opposition? Is it mainly just the community?
It's it's both students and community members are part of that group. And I mean, from what we've reported, they just have the mindset that, hey, we don't want this. And I mean, they brought up like people from 15 Now, which is, the minimum wage group on campus. A lot of different organizations are coming to form that group. And they're just, their purpose, like I said, is at all costs, we don't want this stadium going up at Giese Field, which is the proposed site. So.
And do you see a lot of community backing Glenda?
Oh,
as
yeah.
she's getting into the
one,
stuff?
Pele, the leader of the group, said that she's been invaluable to the cause. I mean, she not only is a community member, but she's a student, so she brings both aspects there. So, yeah, I mean, she's lived here most of her life. She's seen how the neighborhood has changed. She can speak from personal experience about how, things have kind of developed with the neighborhoods around Temple. So I think the students and community members just rally around her as a credible source. I mean, she's lived it. Mm-hmm. So.
Now, it said in your article, she went to Community College of Philadelphia.
Yeah. She graduated with an associate's degree, and then she transferred into Temple. And she explained basically she's a senior because of the credit count. Mm-hmm. It's kind of complicated, but basically she said she was a senior, so that's what I put in there. She just like I said, went to elementary. M. Hall Stanton was the elementary school that closed. Mm-hmm. Then she went to Gillespie, which was middle school, and that closed long after she went there. Just to give you a sense now of like where the school district is and what she's had to deal with. But then she went to Dobbins, which is, from what I've read, it's a pretty sound high school. So and that's the only one of the 3 that are still open.
Oh wow.
So yeah, that didn't even make the articles. I'm saying like that's the thing. I spoke with her for about 30 minutes, and one of the hardest things about being a reporter is that you got to cut all that down. You can't just throw thousands of words in there. We don't have the space.
Yeah, exactly.
So
you got to find exactly
what's most important.
Yeah. So, you also helped write an article about the stadium.
Stadium itself, yeah. Me and Paige Gross, the opinion editor, double bylined on that, and actually Joe Brandt, our chief copy editor, Emily Rowland, our editor-in-chief, and E.J. Smith, our managing editor, got contributed reporting. But basically, that article stemmed from the fact that last week we wrote an editorial saying that, hey, we hear you protesters, but we want to get some answers. And Thibault emailed Emily directly and said, hey, we appreciate this editorial. Can you sit down with us sometime this week to talk about the stadium? So we're like, this is the president of the university. We should probably, take that offer. And so last Thursday, the whole editorial board, which is me, Paige, EJ, Emily, and Joe, just sat down with them, asked questions. The vibe we got is that there's some things that didn't make the article. There are 21 alumni that have given to the stadium.
Okay.
He can't give us the names because they haven't signed on the dotted line, but he said once they officially signed the contract to say, hey, we're giving the money, that those names will be public. They'll be accessible information. A lot isn't known yet. We don't know about what the stadium will look like, how high it will be. He's talked about the stadium will go in the ground, how far into the ground will it go, how will tailgating look like. He said that tailgating will stay on the east side of Broad. It won't be anywhere around the stadium, which was an interesting point he brought up. But there's still a lot that needs to be decided. I mean, they need to do that environmental study. Mm-hmm. I'm interested in how zoning's going to work.
Okay.
Because we also talked, Paige and I, on Monday, talked with Joyce Wilkerson, who's in the community, and she said that one of the reasons why Temple hasn't reached out to the community is that there hasn't been a plan to present. There hasn't been any concrete information. So that's kind of when we asked, well, why have you waited this long? That's what they've said. They've said, we don't have anything to present, and they don't want people to assume that, hey, just because we passed the proposal to start looking at this, that this is the all go, like the stadium's going up.
Mhm.
So, there's a lot of moving parts that are still moving, so to speak.
And it's really nice to hear, somebody that has both sides of the story there, because at some points, just around campus, I'm hearing, oh, they're pushing people out. Oh, this is going to be terrible for the community. They're not communicating with them. Well, you're sitting here also saying that they don't have anything to tell the community. Everything that's being told to the community is everything that they have set.
Yeah.
And they don't really know exactly what's going on themselves yet.
Yeah, I mean, the community can still have, and we wrote an editorial this week that they have to, start involving the community because history has shown, and Joyce Wilkerson was saying this, history has shown when the community is left out of the process that there's just bad blood between the university and the nearby community. So it's important that they engage, the local neighborhoods and keep them in the loop. But like you said, we're trying to get the answers to these questions, and we're asking, what is it going to look like? And if they can't tell us that, then, that's what they're telling us, and that's what they report. So
yeah, because last I heard, they're still looking for an actual architect to
design
the actual building.
Yeah, I think, and this is me personally, I think that a lot of people are jumping to conclusions before, this decision is even close to become, either we're building a stadium or we're not building a stadium. I think the board of trustees are taking their time and their due diligence, and they're not dumb. This is one of the in my 3 years here, this is the most important decision the university has had to make. I mean, and that's including the athletic cuts my freshman year.
Right.
So
how many athletic programs did they cut your freshman
They
year?
initially cut 7, and then they brought back the crew and rowing teams, men and women's, because the city stepped in and said, okay, we're going to renovate the Schuylkill Boathouse. So that kind of saved those 2 teams. But, that was big news.
Right.
I'm sure you remember. But, I mean, I'd argue the stadium is bigger news because it's not just about, what it would do for the football program, is what it would do for the community, what it would do for, applications. Would that draw more people to come to Temple? What would it be? I mean, one of the things we're asking is, what would the stadium be used for? And, President Theobald and other university officials have made it clear, hey, we want to use this more than just 5 days out of the year. We want to see what the community wants to use it for. So it's complex. This whole topic is not easy to discuss, and I think that's the way it should be. These talks should be ongoing. They should be, transparent and fluid through all parties that are going to be affected, and it's our job to kind of sift through everything and say, hey, this is what's going on. So
Yeah. The way I'm thinking, I see Penn down in University City uses their stadium for track meets too, and they use all their track meets, and that incorporates another sport.
Yeah, the Penn Relays. Yeah, that's one of the biggest, arguably the biggest track event in the world. So yeah, it's interesting. Definitely interesting to compare how this stadium, if it were to go up, how it would compare to Franklin Field. We actually wrote an article. My assistant Leanne Parsons wrote an article a couple weeks ago about how the community dealt with Lede Center going up, which is another big arena that was huge to the makeup of the area around campus. So
now, did they tell you any of the ways that they might include the community when the stadium goes up?
Yeah,
if it
goes up. They're actually looking, President Deval, they're looking into this thing, a task usage force, I think he said. It was a really unofficial name, but just basically, students, community members, administrators, and there's another group that I'm forgetting now, but basically they assigned this task force to say, if we built this outside of football games, what can we use it for? And they're assembling that group. It should be done by this week, to see whatever the stadium would look like, what it could be used for outside of athletic events. Because Theobald said he's the host class in there. He said that before the fall semester started that, other universities have maybe used stadiums as classroom space, which is very interesting. Yeah. How that would work is unclear. I mean, obviously we're still early on the stages, but that's interesting. Another thing I want to mention, now I'm remembering, is that they did send, the university sent Joyce Wilkerson, so head of community affairs in the president's office, and 4 other block captains from the area. In the last couple months, they sent those 5 down to Tulane University to see Ullman Stadium, because it's the same thing. Tulane built a football stadium, in 2014 in a residential neighborhood, and the purpose of that trip was for the community members to go down and say, hey, how have you dealt with this? Mm-hmm. Houston had a similar situation where they've recently built a stadium, all within the same conference too, the American Athletic Conference, which makes this relevant. So yeah, it's interesting to compare, again, if the stadium were to go up, how it would compare to those different universities and how they've dealt with it. But again, it's not a definite by any means. There's still a long way to go before we come to a final decision on whether or not to build this thing.
Okay. Well, the last thing that we usually ask, since the show is called Beyond the Lead, is there anything you found interesting that didn't really make the cut for the article or that you didn't mention already?
I guess you mean about either article, Glenda?
Either one, absolutely, yeah.
Glenda Bryant, just talking to her, I mean, we went to the Church of the Advocate. Stadium Stompers hold their meetings every other Thursday night there, 6 to 8. And I initially couldn't find Glenda, and my photographer for the story pointed and said, is that her? And I said, yeah. So I just walked up to her and said, hey, we're at the Temple News, and she was immediately receptive, saying, yeah, sure, you can talk to me. I got to run. But it's just that kind of respect. I mean, she obviously has her stance on being against the stadium, but the fact that she just kind of let us, take her to the back of the church, talk to her for half an hour. I can tell you, I've done many interviews, and not everyone has the right. You as a journalist, you don't reserve the right to expect that. If a person says, sorry, I'm busy, or, screw you, I'm not going to talk to you, that's par for the course, that's part of the job. Right. But Glenda was more than fair and, talking about her life, talking about, the challenges she's been through, and just, discussing her opinion, which is all you can ask for as a reporter to, for someone to be an open book like that and tell them what's on their mind. So
now, in your opinion, have you seen a real impact and a real movement forward of the Stadium Stompers towards the actual stadium process?
It's tough to say. I mean, they've definitely, the protests have been not just them, but other, administrators, students, community members. They're definitely having their voice heard, and they're getting coverage as they should be. This is a huge decision. Now, it'll remain to be seen how they'll work into the equation of the process going forward, but I do think that, there's a good amount of them. They're not to be taken lightly, and, it wouldn't be our job if we weren't covering what they were saying, because that's the one side. I mean, administration's saying, what's going to happen, but to not cover what the community groups are saying, we wouldn't be doing our job. So
awesome. Well, Steve, thank you very much for coming in today. We really appreciate it. It was great articles, by the way, on temple-news.com.
Appreciate that.
So check it out. Both of his articles are up online right now. You can go check them out for free. But thank you for coming in.
Thank you.
And to close out, this has been WHIP, Philadelphia's #1 college radio station. You have been listening to Beyond the Lead with your host, Nate Weaver. I'm filling in with Ryan for Ryan Frischella today. Everybody, have a great day.